Giannis Antetokounmpo just made a strange claim about his future with the Milwaukee Bucks, which could reignite the Toronto Raptors' interest in acquiring the players. So, what exactly did Giannis say, and can Masai Ujiri really make this happen? Let's get into it. Welcome everybody to Amateur Hour Sports, the YouTube channel dedicated to Toronto Raptors content. Drop a like if you enjoy as always, and subscribe for more Raptors content just like this. As you may see, I'm in a different room than normal, staying with my parents for a couple of weeks to dog sit while they are away, so making the best of this setup. It's a little bit empty and a little bit echoey, but we're going to make the best of this situation here, and perhaps the Raptors can make the best of this situation brewing potentially with the Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis Antetokounmpo did a recent interview with New York Times where he's made some pretty strange remarks about his future with Milwaukee and what that could possibly look like. If you don't know what Giannis Antetokounmpo's current contract situation is in Milwaukee, well, there is 2 years left on his deal before a player option is available for him to take, worth $51 million. Now, that is obviously a ton of money on that player option, but the way contracts are trending in the NBA, the way Giannis is trending in the NBA, it doesn't feel like he's going to fall off anytime soon. He could probably make a lot more money and sign for a longer period of time, and he may be looking to find a new contract at that point, but we don't know if that is going to be an extension with the Milwaukee Bucks or a contract with another team, which is where potentially the Raptors may want to swoop in some capacity. In the summer of 2020, there was a massive saga, maybe partially created from Raptors fans online, just like myself, but there was definitely a story brewing about the potential of Giannis Antetokounmpo leaving the Bucks and joining a different team, and one of the favorites to sign the player was the Toronto Raptors. In the summer of 2020, Giannis had 1 year left on his contract and did not sign an extension with the team until December of that year. So for 5-6 months, whole speculation was going down as to exactly what Giannis' future is going to look like. And with Masai Ujiri's personal ties to Giannis, with potentially the Raptors at the time being a perennial championship contender, especially if you added Giannis Antetokounmpo to the mix, the fit made a lot of sense for the player, and the fit made a lot of sense for the person as well. And of course, the Raptors really wanted Giannis to sign with the team, and we know the whole story about Masai's personal relationship with Giannis, but we also know about the story in the 2013 NBA draft, where Masai Ujiri was pushing, desperately trying to trade into that draft in order to select Giannis because he felt really good about his potential. Ultimately, though, of course, the Raptors could not get themselves in that draft because they didn't even have a pick that year, and ultimately, the Milwaukee Bucks did end up with Giannis. So, where is this speculation coming from? What is the exact quote that we got from this New York Times article with Giannis Antetokounmpo? It reads rather ominously, but it reads as follows. I would not be the best version of myself if I don't know that everybody's on the same page. Everybody's going for a championship. Everybody's going to sacrifice time away from their family like I do. And if I don't feel that, I'm not signing. So again, a pretty ominous statement there from Giannis about the future, which naturally is going to lead to speculation. Giannis himself is maybe doing his job a little bit here because, well, he wants to keep his options open at the time because he wants to make sure that he's getting the best possible market value out of himself, because if he's saying right now that he wants to stay with Milwaukee forever, then maybe not as many teams will be as interested in throwing all of the money at the player. But I mean, it is Giannis at the end of the day. No matter what he says, there are teams that are going to be lining up to give him the maximum amount of money that they are allowed to give him. But just because whatever can happen, anything can happen, I guess he's keeping his options open in a certain regard. And I will say the quote in the article doesn't look as ominous. When to go back to that word, it doesn't look as ominous as it does in this quote, but definitely it does beg viewers to see it and speculate as to what Giannis is thinking. And once again, he's keeping his options open because, hey, he does want to go and win a championship. He wants to make sure everybody is bought in on doing that. And with the Milwaukee Bucks, I mean, last season, as much as Giannis wants to say it wasn't a failure, going down in 5 games to the Eastern Conference 8 seed. I know the Miami Heat are not your typical 8 seed, and they got all the way to the final, but regardless, going down as the 1 seed to the 8 seed in 5 games, even with the injury complications, the slight injury complications that hampered Giannis and the Bucks, That is a failure. And the Milwaukee Bucks this summer haven't exactly bolstered their team either. Obviously, it was a solid offseason where they were able to bring back Brook Lopez and they were able to bring back Chris Middleton, because it really looked like Brook Lopez was going to sign with the Houston Rockets. Ended up staying in Milwaukee for maybe a little bit of extra cash than you would have expected him to get. But other than that, they kept these guys, but the team didn't really build. The team didn't really get a whole lot better, if better at all. And as Middleton is aging and as Brook Lopez is aging, I think the Bucks are still going to be a phenomenal team, but the strengthening that contenders seem to do every offseason didn't quite occur for the team. So maybe this is a call out to management that he wants to see a little bit more work done from the front office to put the best team possible around him to go and win another championship. And perhaps if he doesn't see that management, players, everybody is bought in on going to get that Larry O'Brien trophy, he could look to explore other avenues. And again, we're going to go back to the same story with Masai Ujiri, the personal ties that he has to Giannis as an individual, his upbringing, his involvement in the Antetokounmpo family, moving from Nigeria to Greece. All of this can be at play. All of these forces can be at play for the Raptors to try and make a run for him. So can Masai Ujiri really pull this thing off? I mean, the speculation 100% should be there because of all these ties, but ultimately, there are going to be a ton of teams trying to get Giannis Antetokounmpo, and there's going to be a lot of teams that try to get him that maybe aren't a conference rival that has a history of playing against a player. It would kind of look a little bit weird for him to jump ship to the Toronto Raptors based on the history, based on the series in 2019, where the Milwaukee Bucks, despite going up 2-0 in the Eastern Conference Finals, fell in 6 games to the Toronto Raptors. And also along with Giannis, talking about a potential future with the Raptors in an episode a few years ago. I mean, take it for what it is, but an episode on Sportsnet with Serge Ibaka and How Hungry Are You? Giannis had this to say.
One day, Giannis will play for the Toronto Raptors. True or false? Be careful with your answer because everything can stay here. It's going to stay forever.
Yeah. False.
So again, take it for what it is, a bit of a comedy show with Serge Ibaka. Obviously, Giannis going to make the right decision for himself and not look back on this as something to, keep him away from the Raptors.
If my kids are in the street and they cannot eat because of you, that is in your heart. Guilty.
But we have to understand the gravity of this situation with every team wanting to court the player. How are the Raptors going to be able to make the best offer possible? The Raptors right now are in a position where it doesn't feel like the team is going in any sort of successful direction. We're kind of stuck in the middle still. Fans don't exactly know if this team wants to compete and win games. We don't know if this team wants to fall back and tank. There's no first-round pick to tank with, but the team likely in place is not good enough to really compete. So we don't know what this team is going to be. And naturally, there's going to be question marks associated with a player wanting to come here in a couple of years' time, if that is going to be the case. We don't know what we're going to look like at the time. So are we really going to be in a position where we seem like a very favorable destination for Giannis Antetokounmpo to come to? Do we seem like a favorable destination for him to want to sign for? And I think looking at this story, the outside looking in, there's just a lot of reasons for him to not sign with the Raptors. Like, sure, there's going to be reasons for him not to sign a lot of places, but the fact that the team may not be in the best position to contend, which Giannis has made it clear with this quote that the point of him getting the next contract is to go and try to win championships. Everybody bought in on trying to win a championship. So that may not be the best situation in Toronto. The history the player has with the team and just the other probably outstanding offers and outstanding teams that are going to be trying to get him where he can cement his legacy as one of the greatest NBA players of all time, 100%. Toronto may not be the best place for him to do so. So the personal relationship, yeah, it's there between Masai Ujiri and Giannis. We used that potentially as a big chip to try and get him a few years ago in the summer of 2020 when the height of the Giannis drama, like it was at its absolute peak at that time before he decided in December of that year to just sign an extension with the Milwaukee Bucks. But ultimately how he feels will go down. Once again, the quote here is a little bit more ominous than it appeared in the article when you pull this specific quote. So, people who pulled this did a great job of making it seem like, whoa, is there actually trouble brewing in Milwaukee? I would expect Giannis to stay in Milwaukee. He's always seemed like a one-team sort of guy, but the Milwaukee Bucks, I mean, they are Milwaukee at the end of the day. They don't have the biggest free agent pool, but with Giannis there, I'm sure they will still be able to put together some great teams for him to compete. I don't think he wants to leave. I just think he's trying to give a little bit of a nudge to the front office saying, hey, we need to strengthen a little bit. But ultimately, can Masai Ujiri pull this off? You know, yes, he has the ability to do so, but I would find it extraordinarily unlikely that he will be able to make this happen. Toronto fans, 2 years from now, when Giannis can become a free agent, I mean, we can dream for 2 years because that's what we did in the summer of 2020, but I think that's all it will be at the end of the day. Just an unfortunate dream. So what do you guys make of this Giannis situation? Do you think he really is trying to force his way out of Milwaukee at some point? And do you think the Raptors have a shot? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below, because that is it for me for today. Drop a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe for more Raptors content. I'll see you again very soon for some more content here on Amateur Hour Sports. Only 2 weeks in this setup, then we're back to normal in my apartment.